Welcome to The Explainer. I am so incredibly excited to be with you today as we unpack what is honestly one of the most fascinating and urgent challenges of our time. We're looking closely at the realities of the 2026 digital age, specifically focusing on the creator's trilemma. We're going to be navigating this really complex intersection of reach, audience ownership, and ethics in the modern social media landscape. If you've been trying to figure out how to build a truly durable online presence right now without losing control of your data or your community, well, you are absolutely in the right place.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the new social landscape. Second, the price of visibility. Then, scale versus audience ownership. Fourth, the hidden data economy. And finally, your next strategic move.
Starting right off with Section 1, the new social landscape and the massive stakes of 2026.
Look, before we even start getting into the weeds of algorithms and audience ownership, we really have to grasp the sheer scale of the internet right now. According to the Global State of Social Media report by Meltwater, the global social media user base hit 5.66 billion people in 2025. I mean, that was nearly a 5% increase year over year. But it's not just about the massive size of the crowd, it's about what they're actually doing. A staggering 72% of internet users are using social media for brand research. That means the purchasing power and the business stakes tied to your online visibility are absolutely massive. If you aren't seen here, you're just leaving serious opportunities on the table.
Moving to Section 2, the price of visibility. Looking specifically at the pay-to-play mechanics on X.
Because getting seen, it's not as simple as just hitting post anymore. A massive analysis by Buffer looked at over 18 million posts to figure out if paying for X actually changes your reach. And the data is incredibly clear. X is unequivocally a pay-to-play model. The basic tier at $3 a month, it gives you some features, sure, but virtually zero measurable reach lift compared to a free account. But step up to that $8 a month premium tier and you get roughly 10 times the median reach of a regular account. And if you go all the way up to the $40 premium plus tier, you often double that standard premium reach. Visibility is quite literally sitting behind a paywall.
And beyond the subscription tiers, which you actually post matters just as much. The algorithm has very clear favorites. Text posts are currently dominating the platform, pulling in the strongest engagement at around 0.9%. Video posts are also highly rewarded, sitting just right behind text. Images? They'll give you a middling, reliable performance. But here's the real kicker. Link posts, where you try to send a user off to your own website or newsletter, are heavily suppressed.
So, the crucial point is this. If you don't have a paid premium account on X, sharing a link results in a 0% median engagement rate. Let that sink in for a second. 0. For at least half of the free accounts out there, posting a link essentially makes you completely invisible. The platform heavily penalizes anyone trying to drive traffic away from their walled garden, unless, of course, you pay them for the privilege.
Which brings us to Section 3, Scale versus Audience Ownership and the Architectural Divide.
This whole reality of having to basically buy your reach reveals a fundamental divide in how social networks are actually built today. The post-Twitter era has essentially split into two opposing philosophies, which was brilliantly captured by a recent Lovable analysis. On one side, you have Threads. This is Meta's ultimate scale machine. It boasts 400 million monthly active users and incredible algorithmic distribution. But the catch is you are entirely dependent on their platform and their rules. Then, on the other side, we have Blue Sky. It's much smaller, with just over 41 million users, but it's built on a decentralized architecture that prioritizes something incredibly rare, a portable audience.
The secret sauce behind this portability is a technology called a decentralized identifier, or DID. On Blue Sky's AT protocol, your account is tied to this permanent, cryptographically secure ID that you control, not the platform. What this means in practice is that if you decide to move to a different server, your followers migrate right along with you. Why? Because they follow your unique identifier, not some server-specific username. You literally don't have to ask a tech giant for permission to pack up your audience and leave. That is what true digital ownership looks like.
All right, Section 4, the hidden data economy. What happens to your public data?
Because while we talk endlessly about owning our audience, we also really have to talk about who is owning our data. We pump massive amounts of personal thoughts, feelings, and life updates into these systems every single day. A systematic review published in the Journal of Medical Internet Research tracked just how often academics scrape social media. And this brilliantly illustrates the reality, an explosive exponential spike in researchers using Twitter data throughout the 2010s. The amount of our everyday data being swept up into academic databases is genuinely staggering.
And what exactly are they looking for? Well, when we break down the public health topics being mined from our tweets, 22% focused on infectious diseases and 18% focused on substance use. We're talking about highly sensitive, deeply personal health disclosures that people just make online, and these are then swept up by the millions, often using machine learning algorithms to study massive population trends.
Which naturally brings us to a vital, pause-worthy question. Should researchers need your consent to analyze your public tweets? I mean, just because you post something to a public feed, does that automatically mean you're consenting to be a data point in a global public health study on substance abuse or chronic illness?
And the ethical landscape here, it isn't just murky, it's practically non-existent. That same systematic review revealed that only 32% of these studies even bothered to seek institutional review board approval, and, incredibly, exactly 0% attempted to get informed consent from the users they were studying. 0. Even more concerning, 17% actually published direct quotes or identifiable information, and a whopping 70% didn't even include a single discussion of privacy concerns in their published papers. It highlights a truly massive blind spot in this hidden data economy.
Finally, Section 5, your next strategic move, building on solid ground.
So, considering the paywalls, the algorithmic penalties, the structural differences between platforms, and these totally massive data privacy issues, what do you actually do? Well, I want to anchor your strategy in a stark, honest quote from the team at Lovable. The followers you build on Blue Sky or Threads are borrowing space in someone else's system. That hits the nail on the head, right? Whether you're chasing the massive reach of Threads or enjoying the portable, ethical architecture of Blue Sky, relying solely on social platforms is just a huge business risk. The moment you want to reach them on your terms, you're right back to asking the platform for permission.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the optimal playbook. The 2026 digital strategy requires a hybrid approach. Step 1, you absolutely still need to leverage platforms like Threads and X for that top-of-funnel, broad reach, knowing full well you have to play by their rules and potentially pay for visibility. Step 2, run a parallel strategy over on Blue Sky to cultivate deep, meaningful, and most importantly, portable community engagement. But step 3, this is the absolute linchpin, use those social funnels to drive people to a custom-owned destination hub. Whether that's a website, a newsletter, or a community platform built on a tool like Lovable, it has to be yours.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. Are you building your digital presence on rented land or a foundation you control? The landscape of 2026 demands that we stop being passive participants in algorithms and data economies we don't control. Use the reach they offer, absolutely, but always be building your way out of the walled garden. Take control of your audience, own your data, and build something that truly belongs to you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you the clarity you need to master your digital strategy.